guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm here today with Jay Swanson and Cheryl from Nonstop Paris, who you guys I think know already. And today we're going to be talking about some interesting French and English idioms or sort of expressions, phrases. So all of these phrases that we've written down do not have a direct translation from one of the languages into the other. And what we mean by this is often there is sort of the concept does exist as another way of expressing this, but if you translated word for word this expression in either French or English, it makes no sense in the other language.
Which is funny when you try and translate it in your head into the direct translation and people are like, sorry, what?
Or yeah, you're just at a party and you're like this, and they're like, I'm gonna go talk to that person now.
So obviously we all three live in France, and this is based off of our either experiences or stuff that we've read from a French perspective. So this does not apply necessarily to all French speaking regions. And also, of course, some of them are probably a little bit outdated. Even the English ones, some of these that we've put down, you would understand as an English speaker, but you wouldn't necessarily say them. Like
they're not
with
really
your
used
cool
in,
friends.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Start with English, I would.
Okay.
Start with English, I would.
So you just go to
We're also gonna speak like Yoda.
So the first one we have is in English when you say it's splitting hairs or someone is splitting hairs.
Yeah, so I guess this can be used into two main concepts. One is splitting hairs as in looking at all the fine details of something, and also splitting hairs as in nitpicking somebody.
It's usually much more nitpicking, I think.
Yeah, it's kind
like,
of negative.
It's like now you're playing with semantics. Like, does it really matter what you just, that argument? Like, really, do we have to go there?
So nitpicking, they technically have in French, which is chercher du pouls.
Chercher du pouls.
Oui.
Chercher du pouls.
Yeah, but splitting hairs doesn't really translate directly.
Right.
Yeah, they would wonder why you want to cut hairs apart. Which is one of those moments where someone would walk away from you in a party.
The second one we have is the pot calling the kettle black.
I found even in English, like if you tried to explain to someone what that meant, it's so difficult, isn't it?
No, I don't think so. If you the idea being that you have two black objects and one of them is calling the other one black as if it's calling it out for something.
Right.
So it's like you're being hypocritical, like you're the same thing.
Yeah.
Right, okay, so in French they have a equivalent phrase, but you can't directly translate the pot calling the kettle black.
Right, they'd be like, pots and kettles don't speak.
So the French equivalent to this, I'm gonna have to look at the notes because I always get it wrong every time, is l'hôpital qui s'en fout de la charité, which is the hospital is making fun of the charity.
That's a much
Again, you can't retranslate back into English.
The hospital's making fun of the charity. Doesn't work.
All right, number 3 is don't count your chickens before they've hatched.
And I included this one on the list because the French equivalent is wonderful. I really like it. I feel like I'm going to start using it all the time, which is il ne faut pas vendre la peau de l'ours avant de l'avoir tué, which means you can't sell the skin of a bear before you've killed it.
Which, a little more morbid.
I find that quite hilarious.
It makes me think of French-Canadian fur traders is what it makes me think of.
But don't count your chickens before they've hatched. Like if you said whatever the French equivalent of that is, like does anyone know what that would be? If you directly translated it, would just be complete and utter, just n'importe quoi.
Yeah. Why are you counting chickens? You only need one and it's already roasted.
What?
That would be, if you're in Paris, nobody has chickens, so.
Speaking of birds, number 4 is a little bird told me so, which, is kind of a weird one when you think about it. Like I feel like a lot of these, when you really think about them, literally are just strange. But the French is mon petit doigt me l'a dit, which means my small finger told me.
Yeah, I feel like in English it makes a little more sense, like if you think about where that would have come from, because it's sort of talking about you just heard it from, you don't even know where you heard it, it's sort of like rumors.
Nature, you were visited.
Yeah, which the idea of like birds singing, and I mean that it makes a little bit more sense in my poetic brain than my finger told me. But I don't know if it makes enough sense that you could actually literally translate that into French and it would have the same.
Il y a un petit oiseau qui m'a dit.
I don't know.
Number 5 is the apple never falls far from the tree. This phrase almost makes more sense because you've got like the visualization of the apple falling far from the tree. It falls straight down. It's like that Newton's law kind of thing.
And what it means is saying that like the kids are not that different from the parents, basically. So, which it makes logical sense, I guess.
And the French equivalent is, it does make sense in English, but we would never use it. So it is les chiens ne font pas des chats. So dogs do not create cats.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. Like you don't need to be explained the meaning at all. But if you said that to someone in an English sentence, they'd be like,
it just it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Number 6 would be it's in the bag. So it's in the bag, meaning like, yeah, it's guaranteed. I've got that done. It's in the bag. Easy, easy one. And in the French, apparently, it would be c'est dans la poche. It's in the pocket. It's in my pocket.
Or c'est dans la boîte, which is actually written on the wall of Disneyland.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, which means like it's a wrap. It's like another phrase in English that you could use.
Except that it's a wrap would be more that it's finished. Or dans la boîte could mean it's in the nightclub.
Yeah.
C'est dans la boîte.
Context is important.
Context is important, yeah. Number 7 would be from the frying pan into the fire, which if you've ever read Lord of the Rings, not that you're a fan of Lord of the Rings or
Not at
anything.
all.
No. But then you know, basically means the idea of like you jump out of one bad situation into a worse one or another bad one, from one bad into another bad.
And in our research, I couldn't actually find a French equivalent. So I'm sure there is one. So if you guys know, if you're watching, like what the French equivalent is of from the frying pan into the fire, then leave it in the comments below because we definitely want to know if one exists.
If you just want to dig through like the French version of The Hobbit. Was that in The Hobbit or was it in The Fellowship of the Ring?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. Yeah. That's another question for the comments. For the Lord of the Rings nuts. Where is that in the... Am I making this up? It's possible.
But
Nobody
as far
knows.
as I know, you can't translate directly from the frying pan into the fire. I don't think it makes sense in French. I could be wrong. Again, please correct us in the comments.
And then last but not least, number 8 is to have your ass handed to you, which I think makes I get to be the first person to ever say ass on Andrea's channel. Just knock that off the bucket list. And obviously to have your ass handed to you means to be just destroyed, to be beaten so badly that somebody's just like, here is your ass. And
not
so,
even a competition.
yeah, there's not even really, we don't think that there's a way of translating that really in French because like you can say like, it was like, je vais battre ton cul or like ton cul.
I will beat your ass.
That's just like literally just like I'm gonna beat you up, which is more like I'm gonna kick your ass in English.
Yeah.
I was telling these guys that the word for ass in French, cul, is very close to que. On fait la queue for the line. So if you get in line somewhere, you say on fait la queue, right? Say for say on fait la file to say, because if you say on fait la queue and you say it wrong, like on fait la cul, you'd say like we're making ass. I've done that before. I've done that before.
I also confuse Q with like the neck and the ass.
Yeah.
So I don't know which part of my body I'm talking about, but become a problem.
Dangerous.
Situation.
I actually said that to a lady in McDonald's when I first moved to Nice. I was like, on fait la queue? And she was like, nope. Like, I was like, I don't know what I just said, but I know I said something wrong.
That would make another fun video is
Like ways we've embarrassed ourselves in foreign languages.
100%. I have a good example if you want to just throw this in for a bit of a bonus point. But
we should save it. We should do a whole video.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna.
We'll save it.
Okay, so let's move along to some French phrases now. The first one we have is un chien vivant vaut mieux qu'un lion mort. So it's kind of similar to the English expression, a bird in the hand's worth two in the bush. And it means that something that you have, hang on.
It's better to have something.
It's better. What you currently have is better than what you could have.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. But the French, I like the French phrase because it's a living dog is better than a dead lion.
It's worth more than
Which
a
I
dead
think is
lion.
quite nice.
I have a friend
so
who's.
morbid.
It is, but I think
I mean, the English one is too.
Yeah.
She might have to beep this, but I have a friend whose grandpa used to say, "Well, you can hope in one hand and shit in the other, and tell me which one fills up first." So.
So number 2 we've got is avoir un dent contre quelqu'un, which means to have a tooth against somebody. Which I think is quite Shakespearean because he always
it does
says
sound
stuff in Romeo and Juliet. There's lots of references to that. So maybe like it's an old-fashioned thing in English, like maybe it does exist or used to. But the closest English expression that we could find was bearing a grudge.
Kind of, you could say having a chip on your shoulder almost.
It's not,
But not
quite
really, it's not the same
as
thing.
a
But it's not a
grudge,
direct translation. Number 3 is il ne casse pas trois pattes à un canard, which don't
know
break
half of
3
these.
feet of a duck.
Il ne casse pas trois pattes à un canard.
Canard. It's a little weird. Actually, I talked about this one in a video I did a couple years ago with my now husband, and we were talking about French expressions, and I was trying to guess the meanings. And this one is absolutely unguessable if you translate it in English.
100%.
No sense whatsoever. And it just means, it's sort of similar. We compared it to the English expression, nothing to write home about. But it means kind of, there's just nothing impressive.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it has to do with breaking ducks' feet. But
Yeah, I don't think I'd ever heard that one before, actually.
yeah.
Okay, number 4 is parle français comme une vache espagnole.
I love this one.
We love this one. So there's no direct translation, but if you were to directly translate
It would make perfect sense.
You'd make it like you don't need to have it explained at all.
Right, it's
But
very
it means
straightforward.
to speak French like a Spanish cow which
which is hilarious. And Paul explained the origins of that come from Basque country, because the Basque country is in both Spain and France, so there are Spanish and French Basques, and they would say to speak French like a Spanish Basque, but in Basque and Spanish, it's Vasque, which is very close to vache. That's the evolution of it then, is to speak French like a Spanish Basque, to speak French like a Spanish cow, and I will use that one. I'm definitely in the future.
And the last one we have on our list is avoir un poil dans la main, which literally means to have a hair in the hand.
Which sounds miserable.
Yeah. Apparently it means to be lazy, but that just, it doesn't translate at all.
Yeah, I couldn't find a direct.
I can think of one actually, but it's inappropriate for the channel, probably.
What?
To be sitting around with your in your hand.
Yeah, but
I haven't heard that one.
That's not.
That's a
like
real.
a
That
dick
is a
and
real.
hair is not the same thing.
I know, that's what I'm saying, but it's very similar.
So we're gonna wrap up there. Obviously, you know, some of the stuff could be regional, some of this stuff could vary country to country. So definitely let us know in the comments if you've heard some of these expressions translated, or if you have any more to add, some just really weird either English or French expressions that cannot be translated into other languages as well. Make sure you guys also check out Jay's channel and Cheryl's channel. They're both expats as well in France, so if you're interested in that type of content, you will definitely like their channels. Thank you guys all so much for watching, and I will see you guys soon.
My ex used to say it to my cat.
It's because he was doing it in English.
And also, it was on the internet.